What is up, Solid Rock Youth? I'm so happy to be joining you guys again, and today's message is all about how commitment, choices, and a new life causes a chain reaction. So, for a moment, I just want you to close your eyes and I want to tell you or bring to you an inspiring story that definitely inspired me. So, for a moment, I want you, wherever you are, to just close your eyes and just focus on the story and really imagine it. Okay, so there was a lady named Florence Chadwick, and she was the first woman to swim from the English Channel in both directions. So her next goal in life was to swim from the Catalina Islands to Palos Verdes. Now that's about 39.7 kilometers apart from each other. So obviously she had to go into training, she had to be committed, she had to make some tough choices in her life to get to that point. And the day finally arrived when she was able to get into the ocean and she was able to do this race. And as she got into the ocean, she started swimming and she was very hyped up. Next to her was a mother and her coach in a lifeboat, really encouraging her all the way. She got to a point where the fog really started to draw near. And it was really hard seeing where she was going, but she didn't lose hope. She kept on going, she kept on going. Then she got to a point in the ocean where there was open water. So now sharks would start to swim up to her, but her coach and her mother had a shotgun in the lifeboat with them that they would use to shoot in the water just to chase away the sharks. And then later on, the water started getting colder and the fog grew dense. And then she got to a point where she couldn't see anymore. She couldn't see where she was going. She couldn't see what was going on beside her or beneath her. And she couldn't see her mom and her life coach anymore. She could only hear the voices or the sounds of encouragement. And then she decided that she can't see where she's going, so she's going to end it. She doesn't know how far Palos Verdes is from her, so she decided to give up. And she got back into the lifeboat just to realize that she was literally a few meters away from the end of the race. And she was obviously very discouraged at this, and then when she went home, she decided to recommit herself and she decided to take on the race again. The next time she got into the race, she actually made it, and she was the first woman. She set a world record. And the reason why I'm telling you this story now, well, you can open your eyes. The reason why I'm telling you the story now is because sometimes we feel like we're in a suffering situation where the water might be too cold or the fog might be too dense. So you can't see where you're going, you don't know what's happening around you, and you feel like the shark swimming up to you is just too great and too big. And you can only hear God's voice in a distance. You can't see him, you can't feel him anymore. You can just hear him from a distance calling and encouraging you. And in that moment when you decide to give up, I want you to remember that in Romans 5 verse 3 to 4, it actually says that through suffering comes perseverance, which builds character and which brings hope. And I never want you to give up in these moments. I want you to keep on going and to push through. So today I want to push through with today's message, and I want to talk about choices. So obviously a choice, if you make a choice, it's something you're aware of making. So it's a decision you make when you are fully aware of choosing between two or more things. And sometimes in life we have different choices to make and difficult situations, and then we as Christians, we have some real choices to make. But today's story is all about a chain reaction in your commitment and your choices, which leads to a new life. So I'm going to put out a scenario for you. So let's say this morning you woke up and you realize you're late for work. You have to be work at 8, it's already 8:30, your alarm didn't go off, your wife didn't work you up. So now you're blaming her. So this morning you wake up. You woke up with a chain of being blameful towards other people. So as you go throughout the day, as you're like trying to get dressed and trying to get ready, now you're blaming your wife for everything. It's her didn't wake you up, she didn't iron your shirt, she didn't clean your shoes, she didn't do this, she didn't make coffee. So you're running late and you're blaming her. So during the day, on your way to work, let's say on your way to work. So now on your way to work, and you haven't forgiven your wife yet. So now you're getting into your car with a heart full of unforgivingness. Okay, now it is a very dangerous thing to be unforgiving. So now you cause a chain reaction. So now because you're being blameless, you cause yourself to be unforgiving. And as you drive to work, you're full of bitterness, you're full of hatred, you're full of anger. And once again, that bitterness is connected to your chain of unforgivingness. Okay, so let's get that in there. Let's intertwine it because it links to you being very blameful. Now, as you stop at the robot, the taxi decides to drive in front of you, so now you start swearing. Okay, so that is definitely not part of the fruits of the Spirit. Now you connect that with your hatred and your blamefulness and your bitterness, and that just causes, another chain reaction. Now you're at work and there's a lot of tension going on. Your boss is there, your big boss is there, so you have a lot of tension riding on you. Your secretary forgot half of your work, she's new, so now you're even more angry and you blame her even more, and now that just creates another chain reaction, which once again leads back to you being bitter. So the whole day you went through being angry, you went through being full of hatred, full of bitterness, full of anger, and that just adds, just get this entwined there. There we go. So this is how your chain at the end of the day looks like. It's very intertwined. If you have to put this on a bicycle, I can promise you that bicycle isn't going to go anywhere. Okay, so remember this. Let's take that same scenario. Let's say you woke up this morning and your alarm didn't go off on time, but you take charge. You decide to phone your secretary to let her know that you might be a few minutes late. Okay, and you blame no one. You took charge. That's the right way around, yeah. You took charge of the situation. In the car, you decide to forgive anyone who might have caused you to be late. So it might have been your wife that didn't decide to wake you up. It might have been the fact that she didn't iron your clothes. Or it might have been the fact, that you didn't plug your charger in right. So now you decide to forgive the people around you and even forgive yourself. Sometimes we need to forgive ourselves as well. So that causes a chain reaction because of a choice we made this morning. So now you get into the car and you're full of, sometimes you get tensed up, right? So now you're late, you're trying to get through, traffic is hard, but you decide to spread love and you decide to actually pull over and help someone with a lift. You're already late, but what's 5 minutes going to do on you? So now you cause a chain reaction. Not of chaos, but of order. So now, that same taxi, you're already late, you already spent 5 minutes trying to pick someone up, drives in front of you, and instead of swearing, you decide to bless them. Decide to bless them with a prayer. They don't even know you're praying for them, but you decide to bless them with a prayer. Okay. When you arrive at work, you actually realize you're quite content because all of this was part of acting in the fruits of the Spirit. So now you're very content for the day. You're ready. You're ready to take on your new boss. Okay. All right. And throughout the day, you weren't angry. You weren't blameless. You know what? You actually acted very kind. And let's close this chain reaction. Okay. Now look at that. A perfect chain reaction. No entanglements. If you have to put this chain on a bicycle, I can promise you it's going to go somewhere. So where am I going with this story? So your chain of control and your chain of forgiveness and blessing people and your chain of hatred and your chain of bitterness. So where am I going with this? In the mornings, we have to decide to recommit to God every day. We need to decide to commit to God in ways that we have to commit in reading the Word. We have to commit to worship. We have to commit to being in a relationship with God. And once that happens, we have to make new choices in life. Instead of swearing, we need to choose to be fruitful. We need to choose because we were committed to God. And making all these choices and choosing new ways of acting and new ways of spreading love and hope, we are leading ourselves to a new and better life. And I want you to remember this, that when we make choices, those choices turn to habits. Those habits become automatic reactions. So it becomes your default setting. Okay. Now that automatic reaction becomes your identity. And your identity becomes your nature. And if your first choice is not to follow God or to commit to God, your identity will not end up where God will have you, want you to end up. And your identity will definitely not end up being a child of God. So today I want you to decide to recommit to God, to really choose to live according to the fruits of the Spirit, and really to choose to be a child of God. So thank you so much for listening. I really do hope that this brought some kind of hope throughout your day, and that you will remember this the next time you're in a difficult situation where you have to make another choice. So be blessed and be good. Till next time, bye!